This is Victor Hernandez, and this is my video presentation for my project for CATP 3320 Database Management. And today we're going to be going over my project. We're basically going to be going over these key areas here on the screen. I will be telling you how all of my forms work, and we're going to be interacting today also with Oracle SQL Developer, and we're going to see how when I search a record or insert a record, we're going to see how that changes the database here in SQL Developer. For example, when I edit a record, you will also see that the record is edited here in SQL Developer. We are also going to go over the code for the application, and I'm also going to tell you what the hardest thing to do was for me as I was building this project. I'm also going to tell you what I enjoyed the most about building this project, and I'm going to also tell you what I would do different. So let's go ahead and run the project. And I've already, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit here. I already have it up and running. Basically, this is my main form, and it consists of three buttons, three controls: the search button, add item button, edit item button, and the exit button. The search button will take you to the search form. The search form is going to consist of uh, 4 fields: enter stock number field, retail cost, item cost, and the description field. This field will search an item by stock number. So if we search the 1001 stock number, it will return the record for that stock item. In this case, it's a Kenmore 27.2 cubic foot refrigerator, and it will list the retail cost and the item cost. This form will also consist of a main menu button, which will take you back to the main menu. This will be the add item button. Also consists of a main menu to go back, edit item menu, and my exit button. And we'll go ahead and go over these more in depth as we go over the code. So let's go ahead and start going over the code at this time. I'm going to open up my Visual Studio, and let me go ahead and close these. We're going to go ahead and start with our main form. Let me open up the code as well for that form. And like I said, the main form consists of these 4 buttons here, and the code is for my search button. Basically, it has a method to show the form, the search form, and hide the main form. For the add item, we'll show the add item form and we'll hide the main form. For the edit item form button, this button will show the edit item form and hide the main form. And for my exit button, we'll just close the main form, which will end the program. So let's go ahead and go to the first button here, the search button. This will bring up the search item form, and let's go ahead and pull that code up. So like I stated before, this form consists of 4 text fields, actually 3 text fields and 1 label, and this will display the stock item number, a retail cost, item cost, and the description of the item. We'll also have 3 button controls. The main menu will take you to the main form, search button will execute the code to display the information, and the clear button will clear all the text fields and controls. So let's go over the code here. We have an import statement which will import the necessary commands that we need to work with Oracle database. And this code here is basically a connection string. It consists of the data source, the protocol TCP, the host csnet.southtexascollege.edu, the port that we will be using, um, the server name Oracle CITP. Then this is the user ID and the password here. The first class here, the subclass, is going to contain the text properties for the controls. So this is actually the code for the main menu button, which will take us back to the main menu. And this code will also set all the text properties to an empty string. Otherwise, if you go to the main menu and you don't have this code here, once you go back to the search, the previous item search will be displayed here. So that's what this subclass does. The next class, this is a form load function. This one basically just sets the focus to the text stock number text field when the form is loaded. The button search, this is where the bulk of the code is. And first we declare some string variables here, which we're going to use to retrieve the data from the database. We open the connection to the database, and then we declare a string variable SQL1. This will contain the select statement that we're going to use to retrieve the data. So as you can see, it says select description retail item cost columns from the items table where the stock number equals to the stock number specified by the user. We will also declare a Oracle data reader. This will read from the database. And this code here, basically, we will assign the value to these variables by getting the index returned from this query up here. So basically, for the str description variable, we are going to get the string value of the first index of the result returned by this query over here. For the str cost variable, we're going to assign the value of the second index to string, and we're going to format it to a currency. Same thing with the cost. Okay. Once this code executes, we're going to actually assign the variables that now hold the values obtained from the database. We're going to assign that to the text properties of our controls here. So this will be populated with the data from the database. Once that happens, we're going to close the connection to the database, and we're going to return the focus to the stock number text field. This function here, this function is for the clear button, and what this will do is it will just set all the text properties to the controls to an empty string, and then it will return the focus to the txt stock number text field to search for a new item. So let's go ahead and see how that works. We're going to search for stock number 1001. Once we search, you can see that it displays the cost, the item cost, and then the description. In this case, it's a Kenmore 27.2 cubic foot refrigerator. We can go ahead and clear that and return to the main menu. The next item here, the next control is the Add Item button, which will take us to the Add Item page. Let's go ahead and pull up that code. Okay, so our Add Item form is going to consist of form controls and text controls here that correspond to each of the columns for a record on the database table. Then you have a main menu, which will return us to the main menu, and an add item button that's going to contain the bulk of the code for this form. So let's go ahead and see the code for this form. This is going to contain similar code to the first form, your connection string. The main menu button will return you to the main menu. So this will show the main menu form and hide the current form. And this is going to be the add button, the add item button. So what this is going to do, this is going to declare some variables that we're going to use to input the information into the database. And we're going to use these controls here to assign the value specified by the user to our variables here. So for example, our stock number txt, whatever the user inputs to the txt stock number, will be converted to string and will be assigned to the string variable str stock number. Same is true for the rest of the variables here. Then we're going to open the connection to the database, and we're going to perform this insert statement to add the record to the database. So basically this is inserting into the items table the values that are going to be specified by the string variables which we obtain from the user. So we're going to use the cmd1.parameters.add method to add whatever the user specified into this column, and this is basically a placeholder. And we're going to execute the command, and then once the record has been input to the database table, we're going to set all the text fields here to empty strings. This is inside a try catch statement. So if the program catches an exception, it will display a message that says that an error has occurred while attempting to add a new record to the database. If everything is successful, then we're going to close the connection and we're going to return the focus to the txt stock number so that the user can input a new item. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how that works. So let's first take a look at the items table here on SQL Developer, and as we can see, let's go ahead and display this by order it by stock item. And we can see that the largest stock number is 1052. So we're going to add a new item and we're going to give it a stock number of 1053. This is a primary key, so they all have to be unique. And we're going to input the description, which is going to be a front load washer, 5 cubic feet. Okay, this is going to go into our appliances department, and you can also specify how many items are in stock. We'll say 5. The retail cost of the item, this item will say sells for 600, and the cost says that we get this item for $350. The manufacturer will go ahead and set it for Kenmore, and at this point you can specify how many units you've sold, if you've sold any at this time. So we'll say we've sold 5 units, and let's say we've sold 7 units and returned we've had one return. So once we add this item, if no error message pops up, that means that the item was added successfully. Um, and let's go ahead and verify that with SQL. So if we go to the bottom here, we'll see that our item was added with the stock number of 1053, description of form load washer. So as we can see, there's some mistakes here in the description that we're going to go ahead and fix with our edit item form. And these are the values that we specified in the add item form: cost of 600, retail cost of 600, and item cost of 350 with one return. So let's go ahead and go to the next item, or the next form. The next form is going to be our edit item. Our edit item page consists of the same text fields and that correspond to each of the columns for our record. It also contains a main menu. This one contains a save button and a search button. Basically, the user is able to search for a item to edit, and you can search by stock number. Let's go ahead and take a look at the code for this form. This is the edit item form, so let's go ahead and close these here and open up the edit item form and code view. So basically, the same statements appear at the top: the connection string and the import statement. Something that's different here is that we're declaring a edit stock string variable. This is going to be used to search for the record that the user specifies. Again, the main menu button will take you back to the main form. This is our search button. So we're going to use the str edit button, and we're going to assign the value of an input box that prompts the user to enter a stock number. So this is this pop-up menu here where the user can enter a stock number, and it will assign whatever the user specifies to this str edit stock string variable. We're going to use a try catch, open the connections to the database, and declare a string variable with the select statement. In this case, we're going to select all these columns from the items table where the stock number equals str edit stock, which is the stock number specified by the user. We're going to return that record. We're going to declare an Oracle data reader, and what we're going to do here is we're going to assign the values returned from this query to the text properties of these forms to display the information here. So for example, here we're going to use the get value method of this Oracle data reader to assign the string value of the result from that query to the text stock number.text property. So whatever is returned for that stock number will display here in this text field. Same is true for all the other forms. Once we have populated these forms with the information from the database, the user can edit these fields. We're going to go to the edit button. Once the user modifies the fields and clicks the save button here, we are going to take the uh, text property of whatever the user specified here. If the user changed something on this form, it will take that text property, convert it to a string, and then we'll assign it to this str stuck number variable, which was declared up here. We're going to use these variables to input the record back into the database. So this will assign the user specified text onto these variables, and then we're going to use an update statement here to update that record. So we're going to update the items table, and we're going to set the stock number, description, department, quantity, uh, quantity sold, so on and so forth, um, where the stock number equals edit stock number. Now this is very important here, because if you don't specify which stock number to update, it will basically set all of the records to whatever this statement is specifying here. So we're going to use the parameters.add methods to update the record with the user specified information. Then we're going to execute that using this function here. After the record has been updated into the table, we're going to take all these text properties, set them to empty strings, and then we're going to disable the text fields. If there's an error inputting the record back, this error will display. If it is successful, we're going to close the connection and return the focus back to the txt stock number form control here. So let's go ahead and see how that works. Let's go ahead and go back to SQL Developer, and we're going to take a look at the record that we just input. We're going to be searching it by the stock number, and we're going to be correcting some errors here in the description. Let's go ahead and search for this record. So we're going to click the search for record 1053. This will populate the fields, and then as you can see here, we can go ahead and edit the description. So this is supposed to be a front load washer. And let's go ahead and save that. That disables the text fields, and then we can go ahead and refresh the table here in SQL Developer, and we can see that front load washer has been corrected. This is a record previously input in a previous attempt to record this video, but this is the one that we just edited here. So we can also change things like the retail value. Let's go ahead and search for that record again. So right now it has a retail cost of 600, but let's say prices went up and now it sells for $1,000. Let's go ahead and save this record, refresh the table here, and now we'll see that the retail cost is now $1,000 for record 1053. Okay, so let's go back to our main menu, and the last control here is our exit button. This button is basically just going to end the application. Okay. So let's go over the rest of this here. We've gone over the code, and I've shown you how the tables work, or the forms work. And now the hardest thing that I had to do for this project um, was on some of my tables I used a lookup table. So on my items table I have a department field, I'm sorry, department column that specifies the department as a numerical value. So my issue here was getting the program to display the proper department instead of displaying this numerical value here. Mm, So basically what I did was I made a bunch of if statements and I got it to work. I got it to display the text value of the department instead of this numerical value. Um, what I enjoyed the most about making this project was I actually got to see how the application interacts with the database, with the server. I got to see how all that backend works. So that's something that I enjoyed while I was making this project. And then something that I would do different, going back to my issue over here as to the hardest thing that I did. Um, let's go ahead and pull up that code. So basically this is my if statements that will assign the text value of the department. So if the query returned a 1 for the department, here I specified that the 1 equals the appliance department. So that's something that I did. What I would do differently was it would be I would apply some of the later lessons that we covered in the class, and I would probably use a join to join those two tables and then retrieve the actual value of the department based on the numerical value. That would be something that I would do different. It would probably be the proper way to do it. So at this point, this is my project. I'm gonna go ahead and run it one more time here. Search button will search by stock number and return these fields. Can clear it and go back to the main menu. Our at item will take any input from the user and create a new record on the table. Our edit item will take a record by stock number. We're able to modify the fields here, and then we're able to input this information back into the database by using an update statement. Return to the main menu, and the exit button will exit our form. And this has been my project. Thank you.